That's a good assumption to make,
Yes.
that he was trying to chuck them over the edge of the bridge. Didn't realise that there's fences that are it's quite difficult to do that, and also that the bridge has somebody up there all the time.
Now, police in Bristol are still hunting a suspect they're looking for after 2 suitcases containing human remains were found on Clifton Suspension Bridge. Tristan Cork is chief reporter at Bristol Live and is with us now. Morning, Tristan.
Morning, Chloe. How are you?
Good, thank you. I mean, this is such a grim story. Just tell us what we do know at the moment.
Well, there's a lot we don't know. So what we
Mm.
do know is that just before midnight on Wednesday night, a taxi pulled up at the Clifton Suspension Bridge on the other side of the bridge from Bristol, we believe, and a man got out lugging 2 suitcases. We're speculating that he was confronted by the staff that are there. The bridge is manned 24 hours a day, and he ran off. And the police were called. Somebody we've spoken to eyewitnesses who've said that the man was chased down the road, down a hill into the woods, and a photograph that was 2 photographs that were released by the police yesterday afternoon show a man who's obviously been kind of confronted or challenged turning, and that was taken down a lane, in a residential lane, off the bridge, sort of about 400 yards away. He ran off. He managed to escape. The police sent up helicopters. Coast Guard helicopter even went up, and he's still at large now. The police were called back at the bridge where these 2 suitcases were left, and made the grim discovery that there was human remains inside. At the moment, the taxi driver was still there. The taxi was still there. The taxi driver was helping police with the inquiries, and we've obviously got some kind of murder inquiry in the most gruesome way.
Mm. Is there any idea yet of the identity of those human remains?
No, not at the moment. The police would be keeping their cards very close to their chest in terms of even just whether it's an adult or a child or a man or a woman. They wouldn't say. The post-mortem was due to take place yesterday. We've had no extra information following on from that. I'd imagine that the police said that their 2 priorities were firstly to find the man, obviously, and secondly to identify the person in the suitcases. So we've not had any updates on either of those things since yesterday evening.
And is it believed to be one person, in the remains of one person, or more than one?
I think so.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. But we haven't had that confirmed. But they just said human remains. So that is an assumption. But they haven't said it's not more than one person. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, we always ask in this situation, the reaction in the community. I mean, it must just be shock, because I mean, this is just utterly horrific, and for it to happen on your doorstep must be really alarming.
Yeah, it is utterly bewildering, really. I think people in Bristol, we've had a lot of news in Bristol in this year already, and we've had a lot of horrible news as well, and this is just adding to it in a pretty horrible and gruesome way. People are kind of trying to get their head around what was going on, what's happened here. Like, obviously there's something terrible has happened, but to kind of have it come out in and be discovered in this way, with the suspension bridge in Bristol is probably the most recognisable landmark that people associate with Bristol from all around the world. And I was up there yesterday morning when it was closed off, and there were still tourists going up there taking the selfies with it, but without a clue that this had gone on overnight. And so yeah, it's just shocking and horrible, and everyone is in shock in the city.
And I mean, police may well not have said this. I'm just wondering why this man would be taking the suitcases up there. Was there a sense that maybe he didn't know that it was a manned bridge, and that he was maybe trying to dispose of this body?
That's a educated speculation. I'd imagine, what else. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But that's a good assumption to make, that he was trying to chuck them over the edge of the bridge. Didn't realise that there's fences that are it's quite difficult to do that, and also that the bridge has somebody up there all the time.
Tristan, it's good to speak to you and get that update. And I'm sure there will be further updates from the police throughout the course of the day. Well, I'm sure we'll check in with you again. That's Tristan Cork there, chief reporter at Bristol Live. He did mention that there was a description which has been released by police and indeed an image. If you go on to thetimes.com, if you've got a digital subscription, you can actually see what's essentially a photograph of this man caught as he was obviously trying to get away. You can't see all of his face, but it's quite a good picture. So it's well worth going online and having a look at that. And obviously, if there's any way you can help with the police investigation, do get in touch.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Acting Bristol Commander, Acting Superintendent Bix Hayward-Meelan. At 11:57 yesterday, we received a report of a man with a suitcase acting suspiciously on Clifton Suspension Bridge. Officers arrived at the bridge within 10 minutes of the call, but the man had already left the area, leaving the suitcase behind. A second suitcase was located nearby a short time later. Sadly, the suitcases contained human remains. An immediate search of the area was carried out by officers on the ground with the support of the National Police Air Service and His Majesty's Coast Guard, following the discovery of the suitcases. These searches remain ongoing. Our major crime investigation team has launched an investigation which involves specialist officers and staff from across our organisation. Our immediate priority is to locate the man who took the suitcases to the bridge, identify the deceased and inform their next of kin. We are releasing an image of a man that we are currently looking for, which I should hold up now for you and I will show afterwards. And I shall show this afterwards for you all. He is described as black with a beard. He was wearing a black Adidas baseball cap with a white motif, a black jacket with a motif on the chest, and black trainers with thick white soles. He is also believed to be wearing, or have been wearing, a gold earring and was carrying a black backpack. Officers are currently working to track his movements through CCTV, and I can confirm that we know he left in the direction of Lee Woods behind me. At this stage, we are not aware of any current risk he poses to the wider public. However, if anyone sees him, we advise them not to approach him, and please do call 999 immediately. A forensic post-mortem examination is currently taking place, and whilst we continue to examine the scene, specialist investigators are working around the bridge and the surrounding area. As such, the bridge will remain closed whilst these inquiries are conducted. Initial inquiries have established the man with the suitcases was taken to the bridge in a taxi. This vehicle has been seized and the driver is helping us with our inquiries. This is a very disturbing incident and I fully recognise the concern it will cause for our communities. We currently have an increased presence of officers in the area, and I encourage anyone who has any concerns to please do speak with one of the team. As soon as we have any new information that I can share, I will of course provide an update, because I know so many unknowns in this situation will cause worry. Anyone with any information, no matter how insignificant you think that it is, please do contact us. There are 2 processes and ways in which you can get in touch, which we are currently setting up. The first is online through our major incident public portal at mipp.police.uk. Or you can call the incident room direct on the 2 following numbers: 0800 056 0944, or alternatively, if you're calling from outside of the UK, 0207 158 0010. I am now happy to take some questions, but remind anybody that if you do see the individual that you think matches the description, 999, please.
Actually, Commander,
Right.
Can you tell us about the person who has been found in the suitcases, gender, age, recent time of death?
So at this time, Rob, At this time, a forensic post-mortem examination is currently underway, so we cannot confirm any information because that is still ongoing. As soon as I have that information, we will make sure that we share it.
Can you confirm if it's one or two people or persons?
At this time, I can't confirm because that forensic post-mortem is underway, and we will have that information and share it as soon as we do.
Did the taxi driver pick the man you're interested in up locally, or was he?
At this stage, we are still working with the taxi driver. He's helping us with our inquiries, and part of the investigation will be to understand that journey.
A lot of taxis now have CCTV in their cars.
And I'm sure that will form part of the investigation. Thank you so much.
Have you got any sense of who this person might be? Is anybody missing? For instance, Jack O'Sullivan, potentially have you contacted his family to see whether or not this might be?
So I understand that the parallels that might be made with Jack's case, and we would ask anybody to avoid any speculation at this time. What I can confirm is just because of the nature of the incident and the concerns that people may have, and as you've pointed out there, a senior officer has been in contact with Jack's family to inform them of the incident, but I can confirm at this time that no parallels are being actively drawn.
But are there any other missing people out there that you think potentially could?
So this is very early stages in an investigation, so I can't comment on that one way or the other, I'm afraid. But as soon as I can, I will give you more.
Do you have any numbers in terms of officers involved in this, obviously a very significant manhunt for this dangerous person?
So in terms of specific numbers of officers involved, no, I don't have numbers to hand. However, we've got people from our neighbourhood policing team, who were the officers you saw me speaking to a moment ago, who are providing that reassurance on the scene and talking to individuals. We've got our major crime investigation team, which consists of police staff, investigators, detectives and the like, as well as specialist units. So there are a number of people working on this because I know it will cause concern, and we want to find out what's happened as much as everybody else does. So we're putting resources.
The identity of the man, though?
At this time, without the forensic post-mortem results, I cannot comment on that because truthfully I don't know.
Sorry, the man.
The man we're looking for, I know what I just shared with you in terms of that photograph. So at this time, that his identity, we are still working out who that person is.
And are there searches happening anywhere else in Bristol or otherwise?
So I can't comment on that this time because we are still at very, very early stages of investigation, trying to identify who the person was in that still and have those forensic post-mortems on the suitcases.
Can I just ask you to clarify the sequence of events last night? Who notified, who called the police? Was it security staff? Who took that photo? Anything else you can say about the actual incident when they actually saw this man doing what he seemed to be doing?
So as you can imagine at the moment, the people that have called us and the report that we've had will form part of the investigation and part of the evidential process. So at this time I'm not going to disclose who made that call, but what I can say is at 11:57 we received a report that I've outlined there, and that the image that was taken, we will also discuss the provenance of that in due course as part of the investigation. James?
Yeah, Vix, I missed some of your statements, so apologies if you said this, but do you have any evidence to suggest whether this person might be getting harboured by others or if they're working alone? Or?
Truthfully, at the moment, this is a very open investigation. We've got an open mind to all of the situations that could occur. I can't confirm one way or another because we are, at the moment, still trying to identify the person in the still, as well as identify the remains in the suitcases.
Okay, just a couple of questions, Paul, please.
Presumably you've had a chance to look at the cameras on the bridge.
Not me personally, but we as the police, I presume, is part of. In fact, I'm confident that will be part of our investigation.
So presumably you've got a fairly good idea of the sequence of events.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit more detail about what those images
Yeah.
will show?
So at this time, the investigators are doing that, and they are putting together the time frame of what's happened and the inquiries that may come out of that. And it's important that they are given the time to be able to establish those and establish that time frame. And we will come back to you when we are able to firm it up specifically for you, as well as potentially any inquiries that have come out the back of it that we may need your support on later on as media.
But just specifically, did the taxi arrive on the bridge from this side or from the Lee Woods side?
I don't have the answer to that at the moment, truthfully. Not because we don't know, but I don't have the answer myself to that.
Can I have one last question, please?
Particularly horrific discovery. How has it affected the officers in your units?
And I'm grateful for you asking that question. It's something that in a career, I'm sure somebody would never even anticipate coming across as part of their duty. So I can't speak on behalf of them because I haven't had the privilege of speaking to them, but what I can reassure you is that they are being supported and making sure that in the round we are making sure that everybody connected with this investigation, their welfare is taken care of, and we're considering that. But thank you for that question. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.